Ariana Silverin stood still before the radar screen, her golden eyes glowing like the setting sun, fixed on the never-ending stream of data flashing before her. She was an experienced warrior, but today, a strange feeling of unease lingered in the air, as if something was about to happen. The radar system aboard the Astral Dawn was always precise, but today, something was different. An unfamiliar signal had appeared without any warning. Ariana took a deep breath, trying to focus, but the data on the screen only made her mind more disoriented. The signal, it wasn't like any warship she had encountered before. It wasn't a Ravager ship, nor was it a vessel from any civilization they had met previously. And it certainly wasn't from. She pressed a button to adjust the sensors, but nothing changed. The signal remained strong and continued to grow with an unbelievable speed. This can't be, Ariana thought to herself. She raised her hand and twisted the scanning tools on the control panel, but the unknown ship seemed to be moving even faster. It was truly closing in on them, and at a speed that, theoretically, no warship should be able to achieve. The discomfort was growing stronger. "Commander Core," Ariana called, her voice tense. "We have a problem. The signal, it's approaching at an unbelievable speed." Commander Core, the Centurion commander, was standing tall at his command post, his eyes fixed on the screen. The silver scales covering his body shimmered like moonlight, the light from the control panels reflecting off his armor, giving him the appearance of an ancient warrior. He didn't seem alarmed, but there was something heavy in his gaze now. "Status report," he commanded, his voice low and filled with authority, the light from the screens casting shadows over his face, emphasizing the faint brown lines of his features. "Commander, this ship, it's approaching at a speed far beyond any warship we've ever known. The energy signature, it's unclassified. The system can't identify its origin," Ariana replied, as the indicators continued to move, all far exceeding what she believed was possible. Suddenly, the light from the screens shifted, and a shadow passed over the readings. In a breathless moment, the unknown ship fired a powerful salvo of cannonballs, its brilliant light cutting through space, obliterating a fleet of Ravager ships that had been pursuing them. One after another, the enemy vessels exploded in space, creating brilliant flashes that stretched like dying stars falling. Ariana stood frozen, her eyes locked on the screen, where the Ravager ships were being destroyed in a brutal display. "What kind of ship is that?" she gasped, unable to believe what she had just witnessed. Commander Core, still calm but clearly concerned, stepped closer to the screen, examining the strange signal. He nodded slowly, the sound of his armor creaking as he bent closer to the control panel. The strange ship, with its sturdy and imposing form, hovered in the vastness of space, like a silent monster amidst the stars. Despite its simple appearance, there was an underlying power within it that nothing could defeat. Its dark, glossy hull reflected the faint light from distant stars, casting a mysterious shadow around it. There was no sound, only the soft hum of the spacecraft's engines as it slowly descended. Everything in the surrounding space seemed to stop, as if time itself was frozen. As the ship's door gradually opened, a cold draft spread across the space, like a cosmic wind, causing the control room screens of the Astral Dawn to flicker to life, signaling that an alien being from a distant civilization was stepping out. Captain James Sterling emerged from the shadow of the ship's interior, the dim starlight reflecting off his battle-worn armor. He was tall, with solid muscles, walking with a powerful yet graceful presence. The contours of his face seemed to bear the marks of endless years of warfare, his sun-kissed skin, and sharp eyes that, despite their intensity, held an unusual gentleness. Most striking were his deep gray eyes, as if they contained the vastness of the universe within them, making anyone who gazed into them shiver. Each step he took seemed to expand the space around him, making the surroundings feel more majestic, more profound. His black hair fell gently, slightly tousled over his forehead, like a soldier lost in this world, yet bearing an unshakable resolve. As he stepped out of the ship, the air around him seemed to quiet, and in that moment, it felt as though the entire universe was watching his every move. The crew stood motionless, unable to believe their eyes. The humans, a species they had believed to be extinct, now stood before them, alive and powerful like a living legend. Ariana, a battle-hardened warrior, could not believe what was unfolding before her. She had faced countless foes, but still, she couldn't shake the sense of awe and fear at the presence of a human. The ancient stories she had heard from previous generations about mighty warriors, beings who could wipe out entire fleets, were now standing right in front of her. Humans? They were just myths, she muttered, her voice filled with astonishment, her eyes wide as if trying to confirm once again what was happening. Sterling looked at her, his gaze sweeping over Ariana with an intensity that seemed to understand all the doubts and fears she held. But his eyes were not filled with arrogance, nor were they rigid. Instead, they carried a deep understanding and resolve. "Sterling, we've been watching. And now we're back." His voice resonated softly but powerfully, as though each word he spoke carried a message from the past, an ancient warrior's return, meant to shift the course of the galaxy. He stood there, in that moment where space and time seemed to pause, looking into Ariana's eyes as if everything had been predestined. Every motion, every word from him carried an overwhelming presence, as if some supernatural force was guiding them, making it impossible for anyone to resist. The scene before them seemed to captivate everyone on board the ship. Their logic seemed to fade, replaced by awe, fear, and an insatiable curiosity about this species that they had once thought to be nothing more than a myth. Now, the Astral Dawn carried more than just a military mission, it became a symbol of a new world, a new alliance, one where everything could change. Could humanity truly be the key to unlocking the endless mysteries of the universe? The atmosphere in the observation room of the Relentless was eerily quiet. The soft glow of distant stars filtered through the arched windows, casting their light upon the chairs and control panels, creating a space filled with mystery and allure. The vast universe outside, with millions of galaxies spinning, resembled precious jewels sparkling in the eternal darkness. But amid that boundless stillness, the presence of Ariana and Sterling felt like a small flame igniting in the endless void, warm and full of energy. The faint light from the galaxies seemed to fill the room with a thin mist, and the stars, like particles of light suspended in the dark, cast long, strange shadows upon them. Sterling stood next to Ariana, his eyes fixed on the distant stars, contemplative yet decisive, as if searching for an answer in that infinite space. His hand, though accustomed to gripping weapons and commanding on the battlefield, now firmly held Ariana's hand, a silent yet meaningful gesture. The distance between them seemed to vanish as they stood close together, the warmth from his body blending with the coldness of the universe. Ariana couldn't help but feel his strength, not just in his body, but in his soul, as if a force of energy that could never be extinguished was radiating from him. She couldn't explain this feeling, a connection beyond reason, beyond logic. Something had shifted between them since they fought together against the threat of the Ravagers. Ariana turned toward Sterling, her eyes filled with unspoken questions. But as their gazes met, all her doubts, all her hesitations seemed to melt away into the endless space. She saw in his eyes not just determination and decisiveness, but something irrefutable. This feeling was like a beam of light cutting through the darkness within her soul. "Sterling," his voice low and resonant, blending the past and present together. "This galaxy needs us again, Ariana." His words weren't just spoken with force, but with a strange strength, as if the entire universe was waiting for something. A declaration of life and existence. Ariana, her heart racing like never before, struggled to comprehend the emotions rising within her. This feeling didn't belong to this world, didn't belong to this moment. But looking at him, she understood that there was no turning back. She was not just fighting alien enemies, but fighting the feelings that had slowly grown inside her. "I know. But I didn't know it would be you." Ariana sighed, her voice soft yet full of emotion, a quiet admission, an acceptance that life doesn't always follow the plan, and sometimes, love comes from places we least expect. For a moment, Sterling said nothing, simply looking at her, his gaze gentle yet full of weight. Their relationship had transcended the boundaries of just being battle comrades. Now, their connection had become an invisible thread, drawing them closer. They were no longer just warriors, no longer just allies, but two souls searching for one another in the storm of the universe. Only their soft breathing echoed in the quiet space, like the distant stars flickering outside, far yet near, warm yet cold. This love, like the universe around them, was both mysterious and profound, full of surprises yet undeniable. The vast, silent expanse of space had now turned into a battlefield of destruction. The relentless and astral dawn pushed forward from the shadow of the cosmos, ready to face the Ravagers, ruthless invaders who had spread fear and death across the galaxy. The once serene and beautiful starry sky now turned ominous, as beams of light cut through the dark clouds of relentless conflict. Outside, the Ravager warships moved like monstrous machines, brutal war engines equipped with advanced weaponry. Their ships were grotesque in shape, jagged metal shards and sharp, blade-like armor glinting in the dim light of space. Each massive vessel, with its angular form, flew at breakneck speeds, powerful electrical pulses radiating from their engines, breaking the silence of the universe. The battle was about to begin. Sterling stood firmly on the deck of the Relentless, his sharp eyes scanning the combat readouts on the display. Everything had been meticulously planned. Ariana stood nearby, her hand resting on the control panel, the light from the screens reflecting on her face, sharpening her features. It was a serious preparation, nothing could be left to chance. But just as the Ravager warships prepared to launch their assault, an unfamiliar signal appeared on the radar. Disturbing electromagnetic pulses caused the screen to flicker unnervingly. Ariana leaned forward, her expression filled with concern. The bright streaks on the screen moved so rapidly that they were almost impossible to track. She quickly expanded the radar sweep, searching for the source. Everything seemed to be slipping out of control. Sterling turned, his gaze locking with Ariana's, his face serious. "What is it?" he asked, his voice taut with tension. Ariana, her eyes still fixed on the screen, replied, "I don't know, Captain. But it's not the Ravagers. This is something else." A massive dark shape appeared on the radar, enormous and imposing, moving at an incredible speed. It was an alien creature, colossal in size, its body covered in thick, armored scales, with spines growing out of every corner. Its head was as large as a small planet, with eyes burning bright red like flames, filled with an insatiable hunger and rage. Sterling stared at the image of the creature barreling toward them, then turned to Ariana. "We need to stop this creature first. We can't let it destroy everything." Without hesitation, Ariana responded, "We fight together. We always have." Both the Relentless and Astral Dawn immediately adjusted their weapon systems, preparing for the battle ahead. The warriors aboard the ships, though accustomed to fierce combat, couldn't help but feel a tinge of anxiety. They had never faced a threat like this before. As the alien creature approached, Relentless initiated the first strike. Powerful missiles launched from its cannons, leaving brilliant trails of light against the dark backdrop of space. But the creature merely shifted its massive body, and the missiles collided harmlessly with its thick hide. It swiveled, unfurling its gigantic wings, releasing an eerie screech like a mythical beast from ancient legends. Both the Astral Dawn and Relentless fired relentlessly, but each strike seemed to have no effect against the creature's terrifying strength. Sterling remained unfazed. He commanded the ship to execute evasive maneuvers with the finesse of a seasoned soldier. The cannons of the Relentless continued to fire, but the creature easily absorbed the blasts, its power so immense that even the Ravagers would be in awe. The shockwaves from the attacks rattled the warships, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Flashes of light, explosions erupting in the void, making the dark night of the universe even more chaotic. Ariana quickly gave the order to adjust the energy systems for enhanced targeting accuracy. Every shot fired by the Astral Dawn was precise, but the creature's resistance only grew more fierce. At this point, both fleets were caught in a battle not only with the Ravagers but with this giant alien creature, a new threat that threw everyone into turmoil. This was not just a physical fight, it was a battle in every moment, with decisions that could mean life or death. Every crew member fought with everything they had, not only for their own survival but for a future that could not be allowed to be destroyed by these alien beings. Every second, every minute passed in pain and sacrifice, but one thing was clear in the midst of the brutality: they could not lose. After the earth-shattering battle with the Ravagers, the vast expanse of space began to calm, as if the universe itself was letting out a sigh of relief after a fierce storm. The Relentless and Astral Dawn soared through the vastness, surrounded by alien civilizations that were beginning to find their new path, one of cooperation, of peace, where differences were no longer barriers but sources of strength. The light from the stars beckoned the ships of these civilizations that had fought together, now standing as a symbol of a new world, a world where civilizations no longer fought for power or personal gain, but for a common future. The sun no longer shined on just one planet, but cast its light across all, bridging the vast spaces between them. Sterling stood beside Ariana, his gaze fixed on the window of the ship, where the stars twinkled endlessly. The gentle glow from the stars reflected off his face, softening the strong features of a man who had lived through countless battles, now experiencing the tranquility of peace. He felt the change in space and time, a feeling he never imagined he would have: the shift from conflict to peace. He turned to look at Ariana, standing close to him, her eyes still fixed on the universe outside. In her eyes, he could see desire, hope, and dreams without limits. But above all, he saw trust and love, a feeling she never thought she could feel for a human, but one that had now become a part of her being. Sterling, his voice calm and steady. This is only the beginning. Together, we change everything. His words echoed in the space, not just a simple statement, but a declaration of vow, not only for their future but for the future of all civilizations in the galaxy. Ariana smiled softly, but her eyes seemed to contain the universe itself. She could never have imagined falling in love with a human, an entire species she had only known through myths and ancient stories. Yet now, standing before him, she couldn't imagine life without him by her side. "I never thought I'd fall in love with a human. But now I can't imagine life without you." Each word she spoke was a powerful admission, not just to herself but to the world around her. The emotion she had denied, the feeling she had doubted, had now become a part of her life, strong and unshakable. In that quiet moment, amidst the endless expanse of space and the distant stars, there was only them, two souls, different yet finding each other in the vast puzzle of the universe, in a way they had never imagined before. They were no longer just warriors, no longer just enemies facing each other, but now symbols of a shared future, of love beyond boundaries between species.